Welcome to Killer Women with your host, best-selling author Danielle Girard. The Killer Women Vodcast is pleased to be a part of the Authors on the Air Global Radio Network. To learn more about Danielle and her books, visit her at www.daniellegirard.com, and to access all of our vodcasts, go to youtube.com/Authors on the Air. And now, Danielle's next killer woman.
Welcome to Killer Women Podcast, a proud member of the Authors on the Air Global Network with more than 4 million listeners. I am your host, suspense author Danielle Girard, and my guest today is Kaira Rouda. Kaira is an award-winning USA Today and Amazon charts best-selling author of contemporary fiction that explores what goes on beneath the surface of seemingly perfect lives. Her novels of domestic suspense include Somebody's Home, The Next Wife, The Favorite Daughter, Best Day Ever, and All the Difference. And her latest, The Widow, is coming on December 1st. To date, Kaira's work has been translated into more than 10 languages. Welcome, Kaira.
Thank you, Danielle. Thanks for having me.
It's so fun. It's so fun. Okay, tell our listeners a little bit about The Widow.
Yes, well, I know. I love this cover. Don't you?
I do too. I almost thought I should be wearing my pearls, but
I know. I was thinking that too. Should I do that and then it might be a little much because The Next Wife had a woman in sunglasses. So a lot of interviews I did black sunglasses for, but I did not put the pearls on today. But anyway, yes. So The Widow is set in Washington, D.C. It's my first one set there. I got to spend a couple of years stomping around in the historic and backstabbing place when my husband was serving as a congressman. And that's kind of where the idea started. I learned about a tradition called the widow's mandate, which is actually the way most women in the last, since the beginning of our country, had a chance to serve in Congress. And it was the tradition of whether if you're a senator, a governor and you died in office, the governor appoints your predecessor. And like most recently, John McCain's widow, Cindy McCain, became, fulfilled the rest of his term. And really in the House, they do special elections. And it's the tradition that the wife would run for that special election and then vacate the seat afterwards, of course, so the party can put somebody more appropriate in. However, there have been a lot of widows mandate participants who, after they got into office, really enjoyed their time there. So, for example, Sonny Bono's widow, Mary, she got elected in a special election to fulfill his term after he died tragically. And then she went on to serve 2 or 3 more terms after. So I just thought it was kind of an interesting thing from a suspense writer's perspective. Yes. So that's a way to power.
Exactly. A good way. Okay. Yeah. So sit there and tell us the backstory of this book, because it is so fun and clever.
Oh, well, thank you. Okay. So Jody and Martin Asher Martin's been in Congress for 15 terms, 30 years, and they are like the social couple of the Hill. They know all the right people. They go to all the right parties. Everything's going really well. And according to Jody's plan, until Martin starts messing up. Jody sees him flirting with one of his interns, a young staffer. And she's not really personally upset about that. She's more upset about the legacy he could ruin if anything came out about his relationship. So it's also at the same time the weekend of their only child's wedding, and she happens to be marrying the son of a Republican operative. So Jody's just in quite a frenzy when we meet her at the opening.
It's just so fun. And Jody, a frenzy. I mean, Jody is power is on her. That is her goal. She is on it. Well, I first of all, it's so fun. It's like, and this is like the quote on this book actually sort of encapsulates everything that I want to know, Kaira, about you, which is whatever it says. This is a Kirkus review quote, which is so fabulous. Whatever the opposite of family values is, Rouda seems intent on perfecting a genre that enshrines it. I know. And that is totally you.
It is.
Which is so funny because I know you. I've met your husband. I follow you on social media. I know you have 4 beautiful, fabulous children. I know you are not quite like this woman, but so what is the appeal of these these really interesting female characters? I have to ask.
Well, I don't know why they keep popping into my head so strongly. I really don't, but thank you. Yes, I have a lovely husband and 4 great kids, and but when I sit down to write domestic suspense, I tend to have these really strong, some might say narcissistic, some might say even further than that, women. So it's kind of like Jane in The Favorite Daughter. She wants you to think she's the perfect
Yes.
mother, and she's not. And so Jody Asher, I mean, to her, Martin, her daughter, everybody's kind of a prop for her
Yeah.
stage, and
Yeah.
that's how she sees people. And so if you're not doing your job as a prop, or if you're not reflecting good things onto her, then she's going to take action.
That is so true. And you're right. I read The Favorite Daughter, and that's exactly, Jane is the same. And you know what I love about this book, though? I love the daughter who's not, she's in the book. She's a sort of a more minor character, Charlotte, but she is like so normal. And you sort of feel like this is what happens, right? You can have a crazy mother. And some of us can speak to that. Although if my mother's listening, I apologize in advance. But and turn out kind of normal, right? And I tell my daughter that too. I'm like, you're going to be okay.
You're going to be fine. Yeah, yeah.
But she is, and I love that there's no apologies. Any of your women characters, there's no, well, I know that's it's like, screw that. I'm not doing that. And it's just it's so unapologetic, and it seems so so unlikely from you. Is that terrible? I can't decide if I should never say that, because of course we're capable of way more than we show. But you are like so likable, and your ladies are so devious.
My ladies are devious. They really are. And I don't know if it's to like, I mean, to me, they're very fun to write. And, we see enough of people who act this way in our world. And
Absolutely.
For me, it's kind of a way to process those people, I think, and kind of try to understand them and step inside their heads for a little bit. And it is like, Jane knows who she is. Not Jane, sorry, Jody knows who she is in this book.
Jane knows who she is too.
Right. They both really do.
Book. Yeah.
And but with Jody, I mean, I kind of had fun having Charlotte, the daughter, actually know who her mom is too, and be able to articulate that. Charlotte's a little bit older than Jane's daughters in The Favorite Daughter. And so I think she's had time to kind of step away from her mom and realize this is the best her mom can do, right? She's trying her best. And, I'm going to go live my life over here. And now that she's out of the house. So, yeah.
Right.
So, yes, hopefully people will enjoy Jody and not just get mad at her.
No, I think we're along for the ride from the beginning. I mean, it's like, if you are looking for a sweet homegrown mama, you need to look somewhere else. Jody's not your girl. But one of the things I love too about this are these tips. Every chapter starts with these fabulous Mrs. Asher's, the wife of the Honorable Martin Asher, Democrat from Ohio, little tips for new congressional spouses. And they start out so sweet. Like, here, you need to go see this, and don't definitely sign up to that brunch. And don't, you can go this way, but only if you're with your member. In other words, like the person who's, for those people who don't know what that means, it means like, with your husband in her case. And then they get sort of darker and darker and darker. And I mean, so did you pick, is there a book that you got these from? Because it seems like they're so wonderful.
Well, it's interesting when I'm trying to think when you go through orientation as a new member of Congress, then they have orientation for spouses as well, because it's just this whirlwind world, especially if you've never served politics before, you just get dropped into. And so we did a place called the Congressional Club, and it's the first bipartisan club for spouses. It was created like 1908. And so they host an orientation for spouses. So you're staying all together in some hotel in DC, and it's the first time you go through like metal detectors for everything. And it's just all a blur. The whole thing's a blur. And then they put you on these buses, and then they just whisk you away to this club, and you get off, and there's all these mostly women, because it was mostly women back then.
Sure.
In our class, it was great because it was a phenomenal mix of all kinds of, at least on the Democrats side.
Right. I was gonna say, right.
Mix of people, like a lot of, anyway, but so it's just these wonderful women welcoming you, and you don't know, what party they are or where they're from or anything. They're just like, come on in. We know it's been like a whirlwind, and, take a seat, have a cup of coffee, and we'll tell you some insider secrets. And then they also give you something, and I can't remember, I think it's called the Blue Book or some kind of booklet that has like the events that you should attend, and, little tips like that. So I kind of made that up stuff, but it's in the similar tone of that kind of.
It's so fun. And then later on, there are also tips, you know, anonymous staffers tip for new members. So there's the other side of it is what the Congress people should be doing. So I found them so amusing. And they have that like, what was the Emily? What was the little pink book we all got? Right. Emily Post.
Yes. And that's what I was trying to make her sound like. I'm glad, because
Yes.
I know it sounds a little stuffy and old fashioned, but Jody is stuffy and old fashioned in that way. She wants it to be proper, and like skirts should be below the knee, and, kind of things like that, just to shine well on your member, you should be following certain rules. Right. So that's what I was going for. So I'm glad you picked that up.
Oh yeah, completely. And I love the fact that, 30 years, like you were there for 2 years. And I mean, just from the outside, I have nothing to do with politics. I can't even imagine being there for 2 weeks. It looks so overwhelming. And to think of somebody doing it for 30 years.
Right. And the stamina, I watch, you watch these older members of Congress who have been there like 30 plus years. And for the most part, they are still like zipping down the hallways. They're still, sharp as tack. And the pace of that job, if you do it well, if you actually are devoted to your constituents and trying to bring money back home, and it's not just about you and building your brand, it's actually about your district. If you do that well, it's exhausting because there is no time off. It's you're either doing things on the official side in DC, or you're flying across country to come back to do things in your district. That's important too. So you have a whole district staff as well. It's just a lot.
So while Harley was in Congress, you lived there because your children were grown?
Correct. So I was there about half of every month. So, and we were in a fortunate place that way, because a lot of the people that were members of our freshman class had young kids. And so then they've got to make a decision, are they all moving to DC? But then, like I said, you should spend a lot of time in your district too. So especially in swing districts, like purple districts, you really have to be both places. So we were lucky that the kids are all 20 somethings, and they're out of the house. And it was really fun for me to be able to kind of tag along too.
Oh, what an experience. Because you guys, you've had a business, you've been an author, you've all this, and this is such a great, as you said, like what a place that's ripe, because we don't have there are those political thrillers, right? And they're often usually written by men. So we don't have this sort of domestic suspense inside Washington, DC, which is it was so fun. And I remember, because of course I've been to DC, but like obviously on the outside, but I remember seeing those places where you weren't allowed to go in, or, pictures of where the little trolley cars that take you, or from the West, maybe I'm remembering this from the West Wing. At my age, you conflate your memories with what you've seen on television, probably too much. But anyway,
age, I can't remember anymore. Yeah. But that is true. I mean, there's so much of, and actually when I guess the first year that we were there, The Favorite Daughter came out. And so people suddenly realized that maybe I had a career too in DC, because I had a book event. And then they started getting worried. They're like, oh no, are you writing a book about us? I'm like, maybe so, maybe someday I will. But but there are a lot of sneaky, not sneaky, but traditions, and so much history, and so much, the tunnels all underneath the Capitol, learning about those and learning how to navigate them. There's just so much. You could spend 30 years learning all of that and still have so much to see. There's so many museums, and just the National Archives. I mean, it's just
a magical place. I lived there for a year after college, but it's also a hard place to live. And I think particularly for if you're not a politician and not in politics, I imagine you got some story ideas, we won't tell who they were, but I'm sure you got some story ideas from those experiences.
For sure. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
For sure. So now I don't know if I heard this. I don't know if this is something I heard secondhand or something I heard you talk about, because we were on, we did a panel together in the summer about how since you were writing this book about DC, that some of the DC staff or somebody had to read it to make sure it was not too close to something.
Oh yeah. So okay. So Harley beat a 30-year incumbent and then got elected, and then he lost the next election to a mean woman. Kidding. I'm sure she's fine, but they, it was like attack ads and yucky stuff. And so then after sadness, he's like, all right, I'm gonna go back in there. I'm getting my team together again. And so they were at that point, like, I'm like, oh, by the way, I have a book coming out about a cheating congressman. The staff was like, what? No, you can't. I'm like, well, actually it's already sold. It's coming out. It's like a freight train. You can't really stop it now. And so they were all panicking and had to send PDFs to everybody. And really they were fine with it after a bit, and they calmed down. And I guess remember, like, the senior consultant standing this huge room of like 30 or 40 people, and they're all talking about the widow.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, oh no, I'm going to be in big trouble. And he finally says, look, guys, if this is what they just choose to have the campaign attack ads focus on, then we're in good shape. So,
right. Exactly. This is not, you are not Jody, and Harley is not,
he's definitely not Martin.
Martin.
Yeah.
No,
right.
Exactly. So he is like, that is happening like right now.
Right. Well, it was. So it was happening. And then we were, politics is such a smooth sailing. It's almost like publishing, there's never any surprises.
No hiccups.
No, not at all. So while we were on family vacation this December, we saw a tweet from Katie Porter, another congressman who was in our class, and she decided to run in our district.
So
no, stay in your district.
Right.
Right. So then all of a sudden Harley like bowed out because he's a nice guy and he didn't want to do a dem on dem primary, because that would be silly for the party and everything. So yep, we're out again.
Oh my gosh. That would be so hard for me. I am like here's the 5-year plan.
And the thing is too, being the spouse part of the equation, you really can't say anything. Like, your entire job is to try to remain poker faced, even when people are spreading lies, and to, clap and smile, even if you've heard the speech about 1 million times. So that is your job. And you like, I'm not supposed to say bad things about the people that beat us in the election or anything else. So there you go. It's tough because you want to say stuff.
Of course you do. Are you kidding?
Yes.
Plus, if they're attacking you at your home, right? When they attack your husband, it's like attacking your children. You just want to claw their eyes out.
You really do. And that's the hardest part. I mean, Harley will even say for him as the politician, the attack ads kind of roll off his back. Like, some of them were so stupid, they're hilarious. But for the family, like for us and for me and the kids, it's like, okay, we're going to have to do we're going to have to take them out. Yeah, but you can't. I mean, you can just write about it.
Well, I was going to say now I'm thinking, like, now there's a whole book in the response to smear ads. I really would like those attack ads. I have to say, politics is hard. I thank you and Harley for your service, because I am never going anywhere near that. That is just terrifying to me. So okay, so I love this. So now that I want to go back to the motherhood thing, because we're women. We're talking about killer women, which you obviously are. This mother of Jody, this mother, and you're a mother of 4. What, do you ever see sort of like, do you see moments of yourself in Jody? Clearly not all of it, but like the moments where because you raised 4 kids.
Right.
There had to have been, your entire life was really the children. I mean, it's for some period of time, right? Was there a moment when you were like, I just want to have everything revolve around me for a moment? Because that's Jody. And I see moments of that in myself, and I only have 2 kids.
Yeah, it's always fascinating to me that, for example, women who are mothers who also have big careers always get asked the stupid life balance question, a question men who have similar size careers and children never get asked. So I kind of always start from that, I guess, foundation that there's just an unequal and unfair judgment that is placed on women, especially working moms. However, so then, I mean, if you kind of start with that, and I've always been fortunate to have a husband that's supported my career and have a lot of time, a writing career that allowed me to be around, when the kids were here. So that's awesome. I did have a corporate job that was fairly big for a time, but then they were always coming to the office and, they've always been, I mean, obviously the most important thing in my life. But when I write my characters, I think I go at it from a different perspective where they are in control of their world, the world they're creating while I'm writing them. And they do tend, as I said, to use their family as props because and again, the men that I write who have this kind of perspective and personality disorder also use their family as props. So it's a weird thing because I can't even put Jody in a normal situation. She wouldn't fit there. Like you and I would go to lunch with her once and go, oh gosh, there's something really off there. And she's very witty and she's smart. That's not it, but she's just so in her own world that it's hard. It would be very hard to get to know somebody like Jody.
Right. I don't think she would allow it, right? I mean, you can only get as close as serves her purpose. Well, the interesting thing about that, I think about the question that we often get as working mothers is interesting. And I think, but it does reveal not only sort of a universal truth about the person asking the question, but also a universal truth about what it means to be a working mom, right?
Yep.
It's very, I mean, unfortunately, I think to this day, it's a very different thing than being a working dad.
I do too. And I would have thought seriously by now that it would feel different, look different, sound different. Those questions wouldn't be there any longer because whatever the balance of your relationship is and whether it's, whether you have enough, the ability to raise a family on one income is, a privilege. But I mean, some women want to work. I always wanted to work. That's just,
me too.
That's part of who I am and part of what I wanted my kids to see as well. And they do. I'm like, now that you guys are big, I mean, were you sad that I was a working mom? They're like, no, we thought it was really cool. So, I mean, I think it works out number one thing, what kids want is a happy mom. So it's really important for moms to make sure that they're happy because you're modeling that most fundamental value to your kids is like self-fulfillment and happiness yourself, and that reflects down to them. So
and showing them the struggle that is balancing anything in life, right? I mean, it is not easy to balance a relationship with family, with children. It's not easy to balance work with children. Balance is not something that comes really easily, but pursuing, particularly if you have a job you're passionate about, which you obviously do. And so do I, then we're super lucky to have that. So, I do think it's interesting. And I mean, let's be, we won't go too deep into this, but if we're really talking about how the world is changing for women right now, it is not going in the right direction.
No, it's really not going in the right direction at all. Yeah.
So,
and I got this Publishers Weekly review just a couple days ago, which is like clearly written before Trump world or whatever, or Trump election. I'm like, no, we were right there. It was definitely written. I actually watched his first 2 years in office firsthand. So it's scary. It's not only just scary for women, it's scary because, as I wrote about in Somebody's Home, because I got to sit in the hearings, the rise in domestic terrorism, just the awful anger and on both sides of the aisle, right? That's just ramped it up. When we were in Congress, Congress people did not have security details, and it was terrifying. I mean, I got him a bulletproof vest for because when you're in a swing state, you're like the target of half the people, and it's just not great, right? So I think yeah, I think that something's got to change. I was talking to a friend of mine she's runs a big company, and she's a very spiritual woman as well. And she said, well, all of this chaos happens before a new rebirth and enlightenment. And I'm like, so how long do we have to be in chaos?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. So she has a very hopeful view of all this, that we're going to get through this and everything's going to be better and brighter, hopefully for women and for everyone else, sometime soon. I don't know when that is, but
Okay, well, tell your friend if she has any control over it to just, speed us
yeah,
along.
I know, that's what I'm
Well,
like, Marsha, hurry.
yeah,
Yeah,
I appreciate that though, because I think that's sometimes hard to have a hopeful perspective. And I think it helps to hear other women say, this is not where I imagine things to be
mm,
for our children, particularly our daughters, but also our sons. Like
our sons. Yeah,
this is
it's
really
it's not sustainable, this kind of control and power grab. So hopefully it will
hopefully.
change will come sooner rather than later.
From your lips to God's ears. So, but speaking of children, you and your daughter have started doing some interesting things. Will you share with our listeners?
Sure. Yeah, this has been such a blast. So, okay, so you write a book, as you do, and then you have a book to film agent, and you get it all excited. You're like, the widow's coming, book to film agent. You're gonna love this, and then, meh.
Right.
I haven't had
Pretty
a
much.
single book optioned yet. Not
Ah,
good. So,
not yet.
not yet. So my daughter is a screenwriter, and she writes happy things for children. Her focus is animated features for children. So she has a light and bright,
Not
yeah,
not quite the widow that I would
not
picture.
quite my dark little domestic suspense stuff, but so we decided, I'm like, how am I going to get any traction on something? And she's like, well, you need to write the script is what you need to do. I'm like,
Awesome.
brilliant. So I said, I have no idea how to do this. And she's like, well, I'll teach you. So there's a software called Final Draft that she helped me install. And so we kind of write at the same time. And the first project we did was a pilot script for The Favorite Daughter, which is really fun. And so then I said to Avery, she had traveled around the world actually with her first short film called Dreamcatcher, and it won all these awards and all these
Ah,
laurels. And I'm like, I want a laurel. And she goes, all
yeah.
right, well, let's enter a contest. So
Yes.
far we've entered, I think, 4 or 5, and we've won every contest for our
Oh
script,
my
which has been
gosh.
amazing. Yeah. So now my book to film agents are kind of interested in it again.
That
So
is
yeah, but who knows what will happen. But mostly it was a great process to learn how to write a screenplay. I had no idea. And
right.
we just tackled The Next Wife as a feature film. So we're working on that too, which is fun too. So
So fun. It's interesting because it does really make you think about different things than what you think about when you're writing. Particularly, of course, that most of it has to happen in dialogue, which is
right.
so different. We're so used to painting a picture. I mean, you can give us, this
Little
happens.
tiny.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
we're so much of what we do on the page is interior, and it
Right.
can't be interior. It's really interesting. Well, I cannot wait to read. I want to read the script. I think that's so cool. Well, good for you guys. I love that. Well, I need a daughter who writes screenplays.
Right. I mean, it was so, I mean, I was always proud of her, but she was doing her thing over here and I'm
Yes.
doing my thing over here. And she's like, Mom, you got to get lighter. I'm like, you got to get darker. It's fun over here, but then, yeah, it's been so fun collaborating actually. And we can do it. She lives in LA, so we can do it virtually, but it's great when she pops down and we can do it in person. But
Yeah,
yes.
that is so fun. Well, and you have 3 boys too. Are they near you? You
Yeah,
all
there
close?
one is like in Irvine, so super close to where I am in Laguna Beach. And then Avery, my daughter, and the other 2 boys are in North Hollywood, Culver City, and Mar Vista. So they're all in LA. I don't
I
know how
love
to get
it.
to all those places. They just come here
I was gonna
mostly.
say, yeah, that makes total sense to me. Well,
Yeah.
that is so exciting. I love that you're working on the screenplay for this. And so you imagine The Favorite Daughter as a show rather
Yeah,
than
like a
a
TV show. Yeah, limited series is what we kind of set up. So that was fun too, just, because yeah, it's been really fun. I'm like, I think this would be a great TV series. So we'll see. Yeah.
So
And
fun.
actually
Good
The
for
Widow
you.
too. I think The Widow would make, because it's kind of like Scandal and House of Cards and all those kind of shows. So, but we haven't tackled this one yet. We've kind of got our like plans down, but we haven't written anything yet.
Oh, plus the fact it's like I think there's so much interest in we hear so much about the politics side of politics and a lot about certain politicians' lives, but there's not that much out there. It's like why I think people loved West Wing. There's just not that
Right.
much out there about what it is like for just a normal, not that Jody's normal, but just for normal people to live in DC.
Right. And the spouses, the spouses really do hold a lot of power. They are making things work behind the scenes. They're
Yeah.
very, very valuable, and their service is really never appreciated. I didn't appreciate it until I was one. Then I'm like, oh my goodness, these families and these partners go through a lot to serve our country. Right. So I would love to see something about that on television someday. So I agree.
Well, I love that. And it's funny too, because as you said, the politicians, you really can't do much. And yet you are sort of, you have a whole job when you were living in DC, not just like, it's not like you moved to DC and went to a few cocktail parties. You were responsible for a lot of stuff.
Right. Well, and it was fun. You can really be as involved as you want to be. Some spouses never even go to DC. They just stay in their district. Yeah.
Huh.
But I'm like, well, I'm all in. So let's just do the thing. And I found out one of the first things I found out, we were walking through this tunnel that goes to the Capitol building. And there's this display of artwork all down, like artwork, tons of it. And it was the congressional art competition. And so in each district had an entry from a high school student, and they're phenomenal works of art. So we get to where our district would have been, and our district was 48th, California 48th, and there's no entry. And our congressman had never brought the congressional art competition to our district. I'm like, this is crazy. So the first thing I did was, I'm like, all right, how do we do this? And and the winner gets flown to DC, and then their parents and the artists get awarded. It's a really huge honor. So anyway, so I started that up. So that's
good for you.
Things like that you can do, and you can give constituent tours of like the White House and the Library of Congress. I was learning to be a docent there, and there's so much you can do, and like really share your love of history and DC with people, which I think is important. So.
Right. It's I can imagine it. And there were so many wonderful moments and such a surreal experience. And then it's interesting too, to think about the idea of like what Harley's going through now is like, you win and then you're out, and then you're going to try again. And it's like,
you get blocked again. I know. So it is, that's the tough part of it, because it is only a 2-year term. So you start hitting your stride. And then for us, the pandemic hit. So that pretty much made me hightail it back to home, because it was lockdown and everything. Harley did end up, he said that's my duty to fly back and forth, so he didn't ever vote proxy like a lot of people did. So he was there doing the votes in person, and he'd come back and I'm like, hose off in the garage.
Right.
But anyway, so that kind of abruptly ended our time. Like as soon as that mandatory lockdown came, like March 18th or whatever, I was in DC. I'm like, I guess I gotta go. And so then he kind of had that last part of his term just kind of by himself in a pandemic. And then the campaign, and he lost. So then after you lose in November, you still serve out your term until January when the new congressperson's sworn in. So it was sad. But then he was like all fired up to do it again, and then boom.
Oh my gosh. I have to give him a lot of credit, because that also sounds like it'd be really hard. You'd have to really, so much work. And so I never really feel sorry for politicians, but I'm having a moment for Harley. That is.
Yeah, it was, because he was named the most productive freshman in his class for bringing the most dollars back to his district. And I'm not kidding. He worked all the time, and he would fly back across the country with another congressperson who, I guess, he always had to travel through Dallas because there's no nonstop, and he loved the flight part because he would get caught up on briefings and look at what he's doing, and this person would always end up like near him playing Candy Crush the whole time. So, I mean, that's why I say like that kind of person should not probably be in Congress anymore. They should go home and play Candy Crush and let somebody new go to DC and try to make a difference. Right. So,
Right.
yeah. So
Right.
we
I
did
think
learn there's,
there's a lot of levels of hard work, and I imagine that. And that's got to be really frustrating too. That would be a really hard job. I
yeah,
really and from your side too, it would be a really hard job, which is why it's so fun that you get to take out all of your
I
frustration
know.
on in this book. And I have to say the cover, her clavicles and jaw, she's just
Right.
gorgeous. Yeah.
I know.
And
And Jody likes her because she's much younger than Jody is in the story. Jody's like, oh, all right, I'll take that. I'm like, this is
yeah,
not Jody. Yeah.
this can't be Jody, but it
No.
could certainly be how Jody sees herself. That wouldn't surprise me that much.
Oh,
If,
absolutely. Jody, this is how she sees herself. Yes.
she's perfect.
She
And this
is.
woman is ridiculously gorgeous. So, okay,
No.
so I just saw on social media, congratulations, you have another one book, you have another book coming.
Yeah, I have a 2-book deal, which was great. I like those way better because you
Yeah.
like the 1-book deal is so, yeah, because The Widow is 1 book, and I'm like, oh, she's probably our last. But anyway, that's publishing. Yeah.
Yes.
But yes. So Beneath the Surface is coming September of 2023.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'm actually in the last round of edits right now. Knock wood. That's last. So
I know.
this one is about. It's kind of a Succession meets the OC story, and it's set. It's set on one day, well, like a weekend on a mega yacht, and it's about this.
So, wow. I hope
I
you
know.
had to get on a mega yacht for some research, Kaira, because
Well,
that would make
okay, this is so fun. So we took the family. We went as a family to Croatia and Montenegro to some. I don't know, whenever it was. And Montenegro, unbeknownst to me, is now everybody knows because of the seizure of the Russian boats and everything. But
yeah.
it's home of all bad guys with huge boats go to Montenegro. So and really nobody else goes to Montenegro, but my Harley's like, I want to see Montenegro. I'm like, sure. So we sat our hotel room, you would just sit on your balcony and watch the super yachts come in. They're like floating worlds, right? With hundreds of crew. And just, so that's where my mega yacht came from, was this time in Montenegro, just watching this is a whole other life, right?
I can't imagine. Yeah.
So I put my family on these crazy kind of messed up family, Succession family. I'm like, I think I'll put you on a mega yacht, like I saw in Montenegro. And so yes, so that's where all the hopefully it will be entertaining.
Oh my God, I suspect somebody might go overboard. That's so fun.
Maybe
Well,
so.
exactly. I won't ruin, no spoilers.
No spoilers. Yeah.
So September of 2023, and then December 1st, we have The Widow coming. So Kaira, tell everybody, where's the best place? We should all be, get our hands on this ASAP. Where's the best place to find you online, social media? And also then tell us about the Killer Author Club, because that's super fun too.
Oh, sure. Okay. So yes, you can find me, and it's very hard to pronounce and spell, but if you can get it, then you can find me at Kaira Rouda, pretty much everywhere, Twitter and Instagram and all of that. And then on Facebook, I'm at Kaira Rouda Books is my page. But the really fun thing we've been doing, kind of like what you're doing with the Killer Women, is we, 2 friends, author friends and I, Kimberly Bell and Heather Gudenkoff, during the pandemic, we all had books coming out and no in-person events. So I'm like, what can we do to do something different? So kind of reached out to them and said, how would you like to do a Killer Author Club? And they're like, sure, this will be great. So that's really how it started. And we're almost a year in. We're like shocked that it's gone by so fast, but we interview authors every other Tuesday live on Facebook at the Killer Author Clubhouse, or you can find us on YouTube, Killer Author Club. And it's been a really fun way to stay connected. And like what you're doing here, being able to talk, we spend our days writing by ourselves. So the ability to connect like this, I mean, and we love it. I love going to the conferences and stuff too, but this adds another way of connecting. So I really love it.
I agree. That's sort of exactly where this comes from too. And just the chance to talk to like-minded people who find creepy things everywhere. Well, the Killer Author Club is super fun, and that is live, which I said to Kaira earlier. I don't do live because I would 100% mess it up, and then I would be sweating bullets through the whole thing. So mine are always pre-recorded in case we have to take out something I really mess up, or if one of my 4 dogs goes berserk. Okay, but I'm going to spell Rouda for you, just in case you're listening. Kaira, Kaira, Rouda, Rouda, like Gouda, but with an R. Rouda. And actually, I think if you misspelled it but put suspense author, the Google monster would help you find her. So, well, The Widow it is literally unlike, it's like West Wing meets, God, who would be a woman that we could even compare her to?
I know, like,
I'm not going to come up with a
House of Cards had these kind of people in it for sure.
yes.
And Scandal a little bit.
Yeah.
Veep is too happy.
Yeah. So yeah, it has, but it's actually, it has some House of Cards moments, but the behind the scenes stuff is so much more prevalent and actually, really, really so fun. And yeah, it's not to be missed. It's a super fun read. It's a start, give yourself enough time to finish it when you start it, because otherwise you're going to stay up late like I did. Kaira, congratulations. It's so exciting. The Widow. Can't wait to see it on, the big screen, or or actually, since I don't go to the movies anymore, just on my personal big screen.
Right, exactly. And that's how we all do it now too. It's very crazy. But thank you and congratulations on all your success.
The whole thing.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for joining us, everybody. This is Killer Women. Today's guest was Kaira Rouda, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.